¿Y después lo fregan? No, ¿verdad?
Sí, es un radio televisión.
Pero mira, no puedes poner tu cara muy cerca porque eso... Tú ves que no se ve nada en la cocina. Nada.
Good morning and welcome. I am Dr. Pauline Jones Furman. I am the Executive Director and owner of the Center for Individual and Family Counseling located in Southfield, Michigan. My personal goal is to inspire love, hope, and healing. The podcast today is to honor essential workers who have continued to serve the public. The title today is Higher Heights of Service at Higher Altitudes. Today I have flight attendant Jackie Meadows with me. I would like to welcome Jackie.
Thank you, Dr. Furman.
I am delighted to have you here, and I also have on Zoom with me from the Dominican Republic, retired Captain Reggie Seelig. Hello, Reggie. I'm looking forward to us being able to chat a lot about what has transpired in the air industry for the past year during this pandemic. I would really like, Jackie, if you would share what you recall experiencing back in March of 2020, what you recall seeing, hearing, and feeling, and how air travel has been affected in your eyes surrounding social distancing and wearing masks. Please let us know.
Oh, Dr. Furman, once again, thank you for having me as your guest today. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. I remember March 24th like it was yesterday. March 24th, I was scheduled not international on that day, but it was a domestic Miami turn to go down to Miami. My departure time was 8:30 a.m. To return, time was Detroit time, 3 p.m. So in airline industry, we just don't show up as flight attendants to the aircraft. We have to do a briefing with the crew, which entitles we have to report an hour before our departure flight time. So walking into the airport on March 24th, 2020 was very, very eerie to me. Everything was closed. All the restaurants was closed. All of the stores was closed. There were maybe 3 or 4 TSA agents there awaiting for you to check you for your security credentials. Also, there were no people in the airport. So that been flying for 30 years, to see that, to hear nothing. You could hear a pin drop in the Detroit Metropolitan Airport. It was scary. We didn't know if we would have a job the next day or what to expect.
I can imagine that being so very different from what your daily flying routine has been in all of these years. It is so different from any experience that we've ever had here. Captain Seelig, I know that you are a recent retiree. However, you were present back in March. If you could just enlighten us some from a captain's position, what life was like back then. I know you have been flying Boeing 737s and you were based out of New York and primarily flying the Caribbean, often in the Dominican Republic, where you are currently residing. But please share with us what your experience was discovering this pandemic.
Well, good morning, and my experience is very similar to Jackie, and I've been knowing Jackie for years. The only difference was that when I look at flying the Caribbean and preparing a crew to brief and take a flight from New York to Dominican Republic, the majority of the passengers are Dominican, and there are some tourists flying, but we have a responsibility of making sure that everyone is abiding by the rules. However, at that time, there wasn't very many rules. There was a lot of things that we just didn't know, and we were on the job trying to gather information from different sources. And one of the things that was a little bit scary was the fact that because I lived in the Dominican Republic, whether or not I would be able to go somewhere and return back. And on top of that is that they did not have any reported cases in the Dominican Republic. So the dilemma was there was so many information that was inadequate. And now with the idea of flying with people from all over the world, from different parts, different bases, and you would look at them and you did not know whether or not they were infected. It was an eerie feeling, but at the same time, we still had a job to do, and we took that seriously.
It is interesting. Your last words were, we still had a job to do. As I look at essential workers and all of the tasks that they have had to continue doing, and to know that you didn't have a clue where an infected person was, you could not see anything, talking to your crew, letting them know everything that you knew was so different in your life experience as a captain, as a pilot. My goodness, it has shifted the way we travel. Back then, we knew nothing. We didn't have any outline of what was going to come. But I would like for Jackie, if you would, to share, how would you describe what additional stress you may have experienced while you were on your job?
Just like Captain Reggie said, we were flying with the unknown of how it could be transferred. Am I wearing the protective equipment to work? Am I covering myself? Is my crew covering themselves? The stress has afforded me to speak with a therapist because of the unknown. We're used to coming to work, going to places that we recognize as our second home. So it was scary. It was scary where we didn't have the disinfectant. The planes were not being properly, I would say, cleaned at the time because we did not know. But now those measures are being taken in place and put in place. And people were scared. People were afraid. We at this time now we give passengers a mask if they come unequipped. So yes, I had to have a session with my therapist to get my mind right, get my mental ready for the public, and still do my job. I am a leader at my job, so I had to be a leader for my crew as well.
So different than we have experienced. Tell me, I think your primary duty as a flight attendant is to ensure the safety and comfort of passengers. Would you agree?
Yes.
How has COVID-19 affected that directive? You just tapped on it a bit. Mm-hmm. Could you elaborate?
Well, you don't communicate with your passengers like you normally would do. the communication, everyone has a mask on. The beverages, the service, the food, all of that is gone away until a later date. We do offer some snacks, but you don't have the conversation like, hey, you and your family, where are you guys going? You're going to Disney today. Have a great time. Those conversations are obsolete right now because they don't know who you are and you don't know who they are. And so it's kind of taken away our personal side of being a flight attendant and ensuring that they're safe and ensuring that they're enjoying the flight.
Oh, my. Captain Seeley, would you elaborate on your experience with colleagues in your position? Can you speak to how they were feeling about flying during this pandemic?
Well, as a pilot, we're inside a container, so to speak, in the flight deck. We call it a cockpit. The door is closed, and we depend on flight attendants to be the captain in the cabin. But in the flight deck, we have a different responsibility, and the majority of the time you're flying with someone you don't know, and you don't know what happened where they're from, because primarily, pilots and flight attendants, we live all over the world, and we travel into a base and we take a flight and we go to a particular destination. And in cases for pilots, the majority of pilots, sometimes it's the first time you meet that individual. And you, at that point in time, would prefer that individual would wear a mask. And you would want to make sure that the cockpit is completely clean, because we're touching controls, we cut switches, and everything could be possibly contaminated. So the company had to relay information to us that the planes were going to be completely cleaned and ready to go. But now you have to sit there with this mask on. But you have to remember that we're trained without the mask, because if there's an emergency, we have to put on an oxygen mask. We have to physically pick up a microphone and make announcements. We report our position. There's so many things, and so we're looking at an individual next to us, and we're wondering, is that person safe? Am I safe for that person? So it's a little bit different, and today that still remains. And one of the things that I would probably would prefer is that anyone that would be in a flight deck with me would have on a mask.
Mm-hmm. Was it mandated? Was the airline suggesting that this was required, or was it left up to choice?
Well, unfortunately, the airline industry tries to mandate this, but the United States is very divisive, and there's people's position, especially majority of the pilots tend to be very conservative, and there were people who preferred to express their position is that I don't believe this is in this pandemic. I don't want to wear a mask. So as a captain, I would say, hey, you have to wear it. But I've been told that there's been some friction in the cockpit because of that.
Oh, I truly believe that it has been a challenge. And I don't know if that speeded up your desire to retire as of September the 1st. But taking a peek at the years of service, can you contrast what this past year has been over your previous years of flying?
Well, you look at safety a little bit differently because, it's your health. And the idea of going somewhere and enjoying yourself, that's gone. You're going to have to go to a hotel. Maybe that flight may get canceled. You have that potential of being exposed, and then you have to go away and sit for say 2 weeks in a hotel and not have contact with your family other than a phone call. So it's completely different. And the majority of people that were given opportunities to take an early out took them, and I was one of them.
I see. I see. Well, congratulations on your years of service and the ability to be able to have these experiences and then retire. Jackie, I wanted to talk a bit about the health and safety issue before COVID and the training surrounding the health and safety before COVID and after. How did that change in your position?
The health and safety, the company's doing an amazing job right now with the COVID testing in and out of different hubs, in and out of different countries. It's being produced at this time. Lysol wipes, hand sanitizer upon your arrival on the aircraft, and masks. So we have done an excellent job on providing disinfectant products and masks, and that does make awareness, the passengers see it, that we're taking a step above, still blocking the middle seats off, and the crew, of course, are wearing masks during the duration of the flight.
Thank you. Now I really want both of you to back up in time. And Captain Seeley, I'm going to start with you. If you could take me back to childhood and what got you interested in flying, if you would give us a little bit of your personal history, some childhood experiences that you can share that got you started.
Well, I was born in 1958, and at that time, when I was young, probably still about the age of about 5 years old, I had my first opportunity to fly. And I was interested, and I got the bug, and I always talked about it. And then I had an opportunity when I was around 15 years of age. I started taking flying lessons, and I got my pilot's license when I was 16. After high school, I went to college. I studied aviation as well. I continued, and when I graduated, I went to the Navy. I was a Navy pilot, and I flew for approximately about 10 years in the military. I got out. My first job actually was flying for a guy that owned hotels and casinos in Dominican Republic. So quite early, I had this desire to live in the Caribbean, especially the Dominican Republic. I eventually got on with the airlines. I flew approximately about 30 years in the airline, and pretty much my story with aviation, but I got the bug quite early, and most pilots do. Most pilots are, it's something that you want to do from a young age.
Wonderful. Would you tell me how your parents supported that desire?
Well, my parents, I was pretty lucky. My parents were very, very supportive. I lived in St. Louis at the time, and my mom and father allowed me to take flying lessons from an organization called Negro Airmen International. And what they did was they provided access to training vehicles to get you prepared to go into whatever direction you wanted to go. But at that time, going into the airline was depending on you going into the military. So my parents got me just to a certain point, and that was just to get my pilot's license. But I had to have the desire and the effort to put in to go to the military, and after the military, get into the airlines.
Wonderful. What would you say was one of your biggest challenges as you pursued this career goal?
Wow. The biggest challenge I would have to say is I never was going to give up. That wasn't an option. But choosing the military route to get to the airlines was pretty much the only way. And having to do something you've never done before. For example, at that point in time, you had to I had to land an airplane on a boat, on a moving ship. And so those challenges probably were the most difficult for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you have a mentor? Was there someone in your life after high school, after you had your pilot's license so early, that was present to guide?
We've always had mentors in this because it's not that many of us. So we see each other and we constantly mentor each other. You know, we give advice, but you know, you have to put in the effort, and you have to really, really want this. And if you have the desire, there's always a way. You'll find a way to get there. That's never going to be an option for you. You will find a way.
Fabulous, fabulous. By the way, my daughter was in the Navy as well.
Okay, all right.
Jackie, back me up in time.
Oh.
Take me back to an early childhood memory that you wanted to consider becoming a flight attendant.
I'm not the typical woman that said, you know what, when I grow up, I'm going to be a flight attendant. That was not my plan. I was studying criminal justice. My plan was to become a Detroit police officer. And in between semesters, the position, someone came to me and said, you know what, you should join the airline. I think you'll be great at it. You have a great personality. And I said, okay. And that's how I became a flight attendant. I went to an interview, and there were maybe 900 people at the interview. And so I got chose. I was one of the 50 that they chose to come back the second day for interview. And by the grace of God, I got the job. So I was still applying with Detroit Police at that time. And in 2 weeks, I was off to Minneapolis in January in the depth of cold. Wow. So, but it was, I tell you, I didn't look back. I've been here 30 years, so I didn't look back. I love the flexibility, which has allowed me to expose my entrepreneurship. I'm a barber owner, master barber owner. I'm a groomer. I am on the Detroit Police Department as a reserve officer, so that dream did come to life. So the job has afforded me great flexibility, especially with the seniority, to encounter my entrepreneur dreams. But so that's my early childhood. I can remember getting on the airplane, visiting my grandparents, and was afraid to fly because I don't like roller coasters. I don't like the amusement park rides. But it's like walking on the airplane now. It's like walking into my home.
What an experience. What a varied career you have had and integrated so many of your special talents. How wonderful that is.
Yes, thank you.
Tell me more about flying. Where did you fly? What places do you love?
Oh my gosh. Amsterdam became my home away from home. I love Amsterdam. I have friends that live there that I dearly miss right now because I haven't been flying to Amsterdam, just mainly domestic right now. And I miss them. Amsterdam is, like I said, it's like my second home. It's a beautiful, beautiful city. It's clean. The food is awesome. The people are amazing. So Amsterdam is my top to go place. Also, London is a great place to travel. Paris is also on my list to travel. So, but Amsterdam is my number one go-to place.
Tell me, how early in your career did you go to Amsterdam and it become your favorite?
Well, how I started flying international was my manager at the time said, you fly a lot of lead positions domestic, so you're going into the purser program. And I'm like, really? That's not what I want. So I got went to the training for purser, and that allowed me, being a purser, allowed me to fly the international routes. So I've been flying to Amsterdam for the last 18 years. The last 18 years, I've been flying European destinations.
How nice. Tell me about that training. Tell me what's different when you moved into that lead position as a purser.
No, the training is very, very intense. They bring in a group of retired flight attendants that worked for British Airways, which is based in London. So you got training from the Brits if you get it, and it was very, very very real on how to conduct yourself, on how to manage your crew, how to speak to a high value customer if they're upset. Our number one goal was like, I'm sorry. So they taught you how to get away from apologizing, but apologizing with a smile and apologizing with other suggestions.
Lovely, lovely. Tell me how long that process is.
That process is 7 days. You fly to headquarters, and the training is 7 days. And you have to be a strong individual. If they saw any signs of weakness, that would eliminate you from the program. And the way you found out if you made it on Friday morning, you received a letter from one of the instructors, and you were instructed to go back to your room, and you opened up the letter to see if you passed. So after I opened up the letter, I passed, and I felt really good about it. And some people didn't make it, but they came back, and they became great pursers today. So they knew what they had to change to become a great leader.
How about that? Mm-hmm. You've had such a career in these 30 years in the variety of things that you do for a living. Mm-hmm. Do you have a memorable moment of someone you may have met in the air?
Oh, yes. Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks was my memorable, out of all the celebrities that I've had on flights, I'll never forget meeting her, and I just started to cry, just knowing what she went through and what she's done to help pave the way for African Americans and civil rights. And she was a friend of my grandparents, but I never had the opportunity to be with my grandparents while they were in company with Miss Parks. So I explained who I was, and she said, I know that last name, Meadows. So she gave me a hug and told me to keep doing what I was doing. And but I would never forget meeting her. It was a pleasure, and it was an honor to actually meet her.
How special, how special. Mm-hmm. And one of the things you just said that you were able to give her was a hug.
Yes.
And how different that is today.
Yes.
How apart we are from being able to gift others with physical touch. We are so far away from being able to show love in that manner, Captain Seeley, just before we go to break, can you please share with the audience, you mentioned that you had to go through the Navy first to become a pilot on the airlines. Tell me a little bit more, and if that has changed.
Today, yes, it's changed quite a bit. Today, there's the financial. Being a pilot has a lot to do with the ability to pay for the training. And at that time, to get the hours that you needed to be hired for by an airline, you had to acquire quite a bit of training. That's quite expensive. And so the majority of us that made that decision, we went to the military and let the military pay for it. Today, there's different options. You can take out student loans, and you can pay your way through the airlines. And then there's a way to step into the major airlines by working in the smaller airlines and working your way up. Maybe being a flight instructor. There's quite a few things. And even as flight attendants, I know quite a bit of flight attendants who decided that they're going to work and take flying lessons on the side, and then they're going to work their way into the airline industry by affiliating themselves with different people in the industry to get information. So yes, it's changed quite a bit. Today, there's about a 50-50 split where you'll meet someone that's from the military. And also, I think that the training today has changed quite a bit, because back then to get the jet experience that you needed to get with the airlines, you needed to be in the military. So it's quite a bit of a difference in terms of when you look at the ability of a person. It used to be that if you weren't in the military, you didn't have the same qualifications, but today that doesn't hold. So, we just come from a whole vast of experience levels, and academically today you find that it's not so much a science background. You just have to have the ability to retain information, because you're sort of like a surgeon in the air. If there's an emergency, you can't pull over and just look up this information in a book. You have to have this by memory, and so not everyone have that ability. So that's something that you either you have or you develop it, or at the same time you find that maybe this is not for you, because there is a certain amount of a stress level to be a pilot.
I believe you. Thank you. We're going to break, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
SF Hardy presents Dancing Monkeys in My Soup. While on vacation in Peru, Jabbar discovers pygmy marmosets dancing in his dinner suit.
There's something in it!
Leaving the family alarmed and confused. They don't know how to get the monkeys out of the soup. Do you? SF Hardy, literacy advocate, author, and founder of Get Litty Family Reading Readiness Program, presents Dancing Monkeys in My Soup.
Here at Felt Smart, we challenge the mind and awaken the senses through every fun felt experience.
We're gonna make pineapple and broccoli cheese pizza.
The Pizza Eco Wall provides a variety of games that teach math, memory,
with a yummy cheesy twist.
Toddlers love to play
Peekaboo
while discovering the hidden treasures on the Lift-A-Flap Eco Wall. They will strengthen their memories, learn animal recognition, cause and effect, all while making cute animal sounds.
Our ballet dancer helps children talk about good touch and bad touch with comfortable, fun activities for everyone.
Weather outside today, Layla. It's gloomy.
The Weather Palace teaches children to observe the weather, drip, drop, and then decide what is the best way to dress for today.
Be smart, feel smart, felt smart.
Welcome back. Reggie, Captain Seeley, I'd like for you to elaborate, if you would, on what you briefly spoke about surrounding having innate skills, having the ability to feel it. Could you tell me more about that, as well as any emergencies that you've handled from the cockpit?
Being a pilot is kind of a unique career. You start off hopefully very young, and you start to develop this attention to detail. You don't have the luxury of just being able to stop what you're doing and park the airplane in the air and research information. You have to develop the ability to retain quite a bit of information. And because someone is paying you, they expect you to get this information quite quickly, because it becomes quite cost effective if you don't get it the first time or the second time. So you don't have this luxury of being in a school environment and not having the ability to get this information quick. Emergencies are something that we learn to deal with. That's what we do. That's why we're there. We do have to be able to handle emergencies. But most importantly,
We just had a technical difficulty.
And you have to be able to make decisions. And what I was saying was we
are struggling a bit with the connection from the Dominican Republic, which is where Captain Seeley now resides. Hold on, we're going to try and get him back. We are still on the air, and we are...
Hello?
Yes.
I think I'm back now.
Great. Go ahead. Captain Seeley, can you hear me? Priest, we are struggling this morning because he's in a beautiful spot where he now resides in the Dominican Republic, and technology is doing what it does sometimes, which is disconnecting. But we're going to proceed. I hope that we can get back with him, because I would like for him to elaborate on emergencies and how he has managed those in the air. Can you share, Jackie, a situation that you may have encountered in the air?
By the grace of God, I have not encountered any type of emergency landings. Most of my issues were medical issues that transpired on the airplane. So, like I said, I've had colleagues that had that's been in decompressions that had to land in an emergency, but by the grace of God, I've never experienced that in my 31 years, mainly just medical, which my police training really kicks in to remain calm and assess the conditions and, page for medical personnel and your crew, your training from what you were taught from day one on CPR or to keep the family calm and keep people away from the scene because the customer can become embarrassed because there's like 300 people on the plane and you're the one that's suffering a medical issue. So your training does kick back in on how to assess the condition, assess the medical page for medical personnel, and take care of the customer the best of our ability being in the air.
Thank you for sharing. I personally have had a medical condition on a flight from Paris back to Detroit and found the crew, the flight crew so helpful, so understanding, and that makes a world of difference when you are not at your best and you want to feel better as quickly as you can. That makes a world of difference. I want to tap in to see if we can get back to Captain Seeley. Has he been able to connect? We're going to try and reconnect with him. But some of the things I wanted you to share, Jackie, as well. What have you noticed in your cabin crew members, how they're dealing with COVID-19?
They're dealing with it very, very well. They're dealing with it very good. Just because we have a portal that we can go to keep us up to date on COVID-19 and to keep us aware of what's going on. So as long as, we have the information that we need and social distancing on the airplane, social distancing at the hotels, social distancing on the transportation that take us to and from the hotel and airport, things have definitely changed in the last 6-7 months where we are more prepared. But the crew, majority of the time that I fly, the crews we're on it. We're on it, and they're comfortable. They're comfortable in handling any situation that arises. So they're definitely we're professionals first. So we take the emotion out, and we're professionals first.
It's interesting that you say you take the emotion out. The idea of tapping into your experience, your training to do your very, very best. As Captain Seeley said, it's not like you can park in the air and figure it out.
Correct.
It
Correct.
is so crucial that you remain calm, that you attend to all of the needs of the passengers and recognize that we're in a serious situation now with COVID-19 lasting us almost a year. We're embarking upon that 1-year mark, and we're struggling greatly to get it together and have people feel more comfortable flying, even though I know that at holiday times, the flights were pretty busy this year. Would you share that people are feeling more comfortable or just such the strong need to connect with friends and family?
I would say the strong need to connect with friends and family. The average person that are flying now, they're tired of being in the house. They're tired of not being able to go to a restaurant and sit down and enjoy a meal. They're tired of not being serviced. So even though our service is limited on the airplane, going somewhere where you can provide service or going somewhere where you can receive service is the ideal. So now the flying is picking up. People are getting out because of the new. We know more about COVID-19 than we did almost a year ago. This time last year, we would have never imagined that, hey, we have to stay in the house. We're going to have to stay in the house. We can't go anywhere. So, but I would say flying is definitely is picking up because of the need to see people.
So true. We've been so isolated. We've been so challenged with not being able to connect with loved ones. The disease is serious. We've had so many people who have called that are struggling with being at home. And I can tell you personally in my practice that I have so many people who have lost loved ones, so many people who have had to bury their friends and family members. It is difficult.
Yes. Yes.
How do you relax? What do you do to take good care of yourself?
Well, I have a great support of friends and that really keep me leveled, keep me grounded, and check on me. They check on me. We FaceTime. We get together after a flight or and communicate. The communication, though, especially when I'm away, they do communicate. FaceTime, today's technology made it where, let me see you, where are you, let me see where you are. So that has helped me a lot, being able to still engage with family and friends while away. Fabulous.
Now I want to get a little more personal. Have you had any losses due to COVID-19?
Yes, I lost friends. I lost 2 uncles in March, 1 uncle in April. So yes, it did hit home for me, and it will have you wearing a mask, not going certain places, and just being very, very, try to be as safe as possible. My parents, they're 81, and they're doing well, and I had the opportunity to receive the vaccine before them, and I feel a little different about that because I'm trying to get them vaccinated every day. Every day is like a struggle. So, but I was afforded to get the vaccine because of my position with the police department, and so I'm trying to get them vaccinated because they want it. But so I feel a little better that I can go around them, still social distancing with my parents, though. Because we still don't know about the vaccine 100%. But so, yes, I have lost great friends and great family members to this awful virus.
For sure. Tell me how you were able to grieve as we look at social distancing, funeral homes, the inability to connect with family and friends like African Americans typically do. That has changed as well. Can you elaborate?
Oh wow! No, I didn't attend the funerals for my uncles, or I just lost a cousin and I didn't attend the service because of the mandate of 25 people, and their immediate sisters and brothers mandated that. But I was able to attend visitations for them, but I couldn't attend the service. Let alone, as a culture, we get together, we bring food, we bring iced tea, we bring cakes. Someone is always bringing a cake by, or bringing great delicacies that we love, and all of that is at a halt. You have to leave the food or the drinks or the flowers on the porch. So yes, that took away from what we're used to doing, socializing and grieving together as a family. We cannot do that. Yeah. We cannot do that.
There lies the challenge, not just for yourself, but for our entire community, as we are attempting to get beyond. And as you think about your parents being 81 and unable to get vaccinated, wanting to get vaccinated and have been unable to do that, it is my hope that resources will become available, that they will be able to get the vaccine very, very soon. I believe you shared with me that you're also a caregiver for them. Can you tell me about that role while you balance all of your entrepreneurial endeavors?
Oh, yes. My mom, she suffered a stroke about a year ago, so she's not as mobile as she used to be. But my dad is very, very mobile and very, very helpful. And just to see the love that he still has for my mom is amazing. They've been together 60 plus years, and to hear him say, "Hey, boo. Hey, honey, I love you," after 60 years is amazing. So their relationship has definitely, I can see, is closer because of my mom's illness. But he's a great help. He helps me, and he encourages me to do other things, to give me a break. And I try to encourage him, hey, you want to go to Sam's Club? Go to Macy's and buy you something. And he will. So we work as a team to take care of my mom, which really, really helps me, and it helps him. So, but he's very laid back guy. And let me tell you, I'm glad to still have him in my life, have both of them in my life.
How wonderful. You tapped on something that happens to be my specialty, which is marital therapy.
Okay.
And the couple that I have who has been married the longest has been married 52 years. Okay. And they got married right out of college. So when that long-term relationship can still express love, it is phenomenal. And as well, for you to see their expression of love demonstrated right before your very eyes, that is great.
Oh, yeah, I love it. I love them.
Yes,
I love them.
Yes. I'd like to talk about some of the recommendations that I have for essential workers, and making sure that you do many of the things that you just articulated.
Okay.
Staying together socially, letting people see your face, connecting with them so that friends and family know that you're in a good place. Owning what you need to do for yourself, talking about self-care, realizing that you are your best person to take care of. So eating healthy, drinking plenty of water, getting regular exercise, adequate rest is crucial. So as I tap on adequate rest, tell me how you've dealt with jet lag and time changes.
Well, I do work out. You just touched on it. Working out and sleeping well. And during the pandemic, because of the restaurants being closed, I've learned how to become a better cook. Okay. So eating healthier and training. I was training with a friend outside, which occurred great rest for me now, because before the pandemic, I had so much going on with my business. I had the Detroit Police Department. I was flying. I was taking care of home. So always worn down. my body was always worn down. So now I'm time a little bit better where, yes, working out helps. And the jet lag is not there as much. So working out and eating better and staying at home and meditating definitely has helped me.
Great. Because I guess Amsterdam is a long way to fly to.
I think they're 6 hours ahead of us.
How about that?
While you're eating breakfast, I'm eating dinner.
How about that? I want you to know that relaxation is also an important piece. Mm-hmm. What do you do within all of those jobs to relax?
Actually, I enjoy a great cigar.
I love it, Jackie. I love it.
I enjoy a great cigar. So the friends that I have, they know this. They know what I want for my birthday, a great cigar. So that actually relaxes me. If I can sit outside and have a great glass of wine or a great bourbon with my cigar, that relaxes me. If not, if I can't do that, then I like to read. I'm a news junkie, so I will go online and look for interesting topics or keeping up with COVID or what's going on now in the world. So I love watching the news and the European news. So that actually relaxes me, reading about the news, and people find that strange. But my number one go-to is enjoying a great cigar.
How about that? Well, some of the things I wanted to add to what you've just described are taking time to meditate, taking time to journal, realizing that reading, as you mentioned, can also be very relaxing, practicing yoga, listening to music, occasionally taking a nap. And one of the things that is going on during this pandemic is that people are really getting pets because pets can also be very comforting. So we know that individuals who are under stress need to do some things for fun, and laughter should also be included. You want to aspire to combat stress and burnout by employing some of those things. I'm checking to see if we can get back with Captain Seeley. So
hey,
glad you. Hey, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back. I was asking you about emergencies, and could you elaborate? And I really want you to touch on the movie that came out a few years ago, The Miracle on the Hudson. If you could touch on that.
Wow. Emergencies are what we train for. We spend numerous hours in simulators simulating total emergencies. Emergencies you probably never ever see, but you have to be prepared for them. What's going on today, like what happened just recently, is an indication of an emergency that you train, and you have to have a plan of action for every scenario that you encounter. And we work hand in hand with the company and flight attendants, and we it's a group effort. And what we do is we all have our duties, but we have to find a way to bring them together and to get the mission accomplished. Knock on wood, I was fortunate I never had a real serious emergency. I just was listening to what Jackie was saying, that we have a lot of medical emergencies, and unfortunately have had a couple of instances where people didn't make it. And those things make the flying stressful. So what we do is we have to sort of find a way to have this emergency, but yet continue on with the flight, because we don't have that opportunity to just stop what we're doing. We have to keep going. And as a pilot, you have to kind of manage a lot more, and you have to not only fly the airplane, you have to handle the emergency, you have to talk on the radio, you have to make decisions, and then you have the ability to just put it all together. And so sometimes having that type of stress on you can really get to you, and you really want to get to the hotel and just unwind. So I hope that I touched on what you want. If you want me to be more specific in a particular instance, like what happened in the on the Hudson, that's kind of a situation where that's unexpected. I can't even imagine making a decision landing on water. But you do it, and that's all you have. You don't have any other choice. You just make it happen. And then at that point in time, you hope everything comes together. That's something you really don't train for. But now we do, because it's happened. So anytime there's an emergency and it happens, the rest of the crews will get a chance to practice that and understand what happened and was it a good decision. And I hope I hit the topics that you wanted.
Yes, you did. But I want you to move further to what you do to relax. You said after that, you go to the hotel. Tell me what your routine is to relax.
I'm like Jackie.
You like
I
a
think
good
cigar
cigar?
smoking is something that's our connection, you know. You know, I live a different lifestyle. I'm a Caribbean kind of guy. You know, I had the opportunity to fly Asia and Europe and Africa, and I'm a Caribbean guy. I'm a laid back guy. I got to be on the beach. So I'm not one to live the typical life that you have in the United States. I don't need those comforts and things like that. Like you just saw what happened with the electricity just cut out. That's that's
Yes.
with third world living. But at the same time, I live in Dominican Republic. We probably have the best cigars in the world.
Yes,
And
yes.
So like right now, I can go to a place and they'll roll the cigar for me right there. It's fresh. I want to say the majority of people in the airline industry, we tend to fall into kind of like different groups. One is that you have the group that goes to dinner, and then you have the other that goes to the bar, and then you have the ones that go dancing. I was one that in the Caribbean that I just look to relax around the pool or at the beach and just get myself on something to eat and like you said, smoke a cigar and maybe some conversation and call it a night.
How about that? What a beautiful way to live. What a beautiful way to retire and know that that is your home and that you enjoy it thoroughly. As a therapist, I see so many patients who have depression and anxiety who have struggled during this pandemic. It is so challenging to see the difficulties that so many are facing because of this pandemic. I just wanted to take today to honor those who are in flight, those who have been so instrumental in taking good care of us all over the world. So I want to personally say, Captain Seeley, thank you for the years that you gave of yourself to this service, to something that you truly enjoyed doing. And to Jackie Meadows, thank you very much as a flight attendant, continuing to give your time, your energy, your smile to assisting all of us in having safe travel. It has been my joy as the executive director and owner of the Center for Individual and Family Counseling to offer these 4 weeks of individuals that I have honored, expressing that to the essential workers in this vicinity. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.